Hello and welcome back. I'm Dr. Lori Williams. Today I want to talk to you about 3 big mistakes that people make in communication, and also I'm going to give some tips and tricks on how to correct them. So first and foremost, this is probably one of the most common communication mistakes that people make, and it's listening to respond rather than listening to truly understand where the other person is coming from. So essentially, many people are going to focus on what they're going to say next or trying to interpret what the person is saying rather than actually listening to understand where the person is coming from. It's a very defensive move. It's like, oh, I have to be prepared for whatever is about to be said. And unfortunately, when you approach a conversation like this, what ends up happening is that your response will come through as being very defensive as well. Whereas if you allow yourself to sit and to be present and to listen to understand, you're in a better place to be able to respond rather than be reactive in the conversation. So essentially, how can you fix this? If you recognize hey, you know what? I'm one of those people that listens to respond rather than to understand. The first thing you want to do is you want to practice active listening. So active listening looks like, hey, am I right in thinking that this is what you mean when you said this? Or, so what you're saying is, and then, just clarifying how you're perceiving what they're saying, because our perception of things isn't always accurate in what the person is saying. The next one would be, and this one is actually quite hard if you're not used to doing it, is to pause, pause and count to 2 or 3 in your head, and give yourself kind of just time to process, but also give the person time and space to be able to respond or to continue the conversation. So say for an example, if you're having a conversation with someone and they stop talking, but they could just be talking, or having a pause in between a thought, or maybe they think they're done, but they're not quite done yet. So giving them a little bit of space, and not just as soon as they stop talking, you jump in and start talking, allows that other person to feel heard, but also for them to be able to know that they have finished what they wanted to say. The next part, and this is actually a part that can be quite fun if you allow it to be, it's to stay curious in the conversation. Try to look at conversation as, you learning something about that other person. So you can ask clarifying questions instead of jumping into your own perspective. You can be like, hey, so I don't want to assume anything, so can I clarify this with you? And allow open, honest communication to take place without you being reactive. Number 2 is the second mistake that people make in their conversations is they use vague or indirect language. So especially it's I'm just trying to think of an example of vague or indirect. It's say for an example, if somebody says to you, oh, we should meet sometime, or we should meet up sometime, rather than this is very vague. So rather than saying, hey, we should meet up sometime, it's like, hey, are you available next Thursday at 2 p.m.? And we can, sit down and either go grab a coffee or, jump online and have a chat, whatever the case may be. Being able to be very direct also allows you to feel very confident in what you're asking for, and the other person doesn't have to wonder or second guess of okay, well, were they just saying they want to meet up with me just to be polite, or do they actually want to meet up with me? There's no second thought or second guessing when you are very forthcoming and direct with your communication. So how can you move past the indirect or the vague language? First and foremost, it is to be, like I was saying, be very specific. Get to the point. Don't dance around what your point is or expect the other person to be a mind reader. You have to say what it is that you're feeling, what it is that you're thinking, and not expect them to just, fill in the blanks on the conversation. The other thing would be the other thing that you could do is to use I statements without, it allows you to express your feelings without blaming or pointing fingers at somebody else. So if you can say, you know, something like, I feel as though, or I am hurt by, you know, you're being honest, you're being direct, you're being to the point, but you're not saying you did this and you did this and you did this, because that's manipulation. You don't want to do that. So you don't want to play the blame game. It's a very, it's just a horrible way to communicate, essentially. And last but certainly not least is avoiding the tough conversations. The truth of it is most of us find it hard to be vulnerable with someone else, and having those tough conversations, we tend to, you know, show a vulnerability in us that might just not be comfortable. And that's okay. I mean, all of these are going to take practice. If you have any of them or all of them, this didn't just, you know, wasn't a learned way of communicating overnight. So allow yourself time and space to be able to change it and to recognize it as it's coming up in your life. So when we avoid the tough conversations, we're actually lending to having bigger, more explosive conflicts later on in our relationship. So this actually helps to avoid, if you're just willing to face the tough conversation now, it can help you to completely avoid having an explosive conflict and potentially ruining the relationship, you know, down the road. So if you feel like you have difficulty facing those tough decisions or those tough conversations, how you can fix it is, first and foremost, you want to make sure that you are mentally and emotionally in a good place to be open and honest and also receptive to the conversation. You want to make sure that your emotions are right, you're in a good place, the day, the time, everything. Like, I mean, if you know that you typically get very tired and you're just not in a good place to communicate at 4 p.m., then setting up a conversation that is like really, really important at 4 p.m. does not make any rational sense at all. If you're better in the morning, set it up for 9 a.m., you know, or you're not very good come the end of the week. Okay, cool. Put it like, you know, schedule something in on a Monday or a Tuesday rather than on a Friday or Saturday. The next thing that you can do, if you find that you avoid difficult conversations, is to prepare your words. Kind of just think about what you're going to say. Don't write a script or anything, because a script is literally just one-sided. You need to have an open flow of communication, of dialogue back and forth. But you want to make sure that you want to focus on the issue, not on the person. So that's why it's very important to use I statements, is that you're not pointing out like this person's flaw, because it's not about the person. It's not about their flaw. It's about the action, or how it's something that they did made you feel, not them as a person. If you're going into your communication, any kind of communication, in an attacking kind of way, that's exactly how the other person is going to take it. And that's why it causes issues in relationships. So have an understanding that your words can be hurtful, and that, you know, if you focus on the issue rather than on the person, like I said earlier, by using I statements, it's going to help to set you up for success in conversations, and to be able to help you to communicate in a healthy and effective way. And also, you need to approach with empathy. Assume that the other person wants a resolution in the conflict, or it's not even a conflict necessarily at this point, but assume that the other person, or even if you don't want to assume, I'm not one on assuming. I'd rather ask at the beginning of the conversation, or even when you're setting up a time and a date for the conversation. Ask the other person, you know, like, what is it that you're looking to get out of this conversation? Are you looking for resolution? Are you looking for understanding? Are you looking to, you know, this is just like a connection thing that you want with me. Like, what is it that is your end goal? Just to make sure that you guys are both on the same page. You don't want to think that, you know, if somebody's just trying to have a time of connection with you, and you think that, oh, like, you know, especially like in dating, it's like, oh, I just want a connection, you know, with someone else. But you're like, oh, this person's going to be my forever. That's obviously, you know, setting yourself up for hurt feelings when you find out that the other person just doesn't reciprocate. So It is so important to have healthy communication. And even in saying all of these three things, do keep in mind that the other person may not be coming to the table with the same understanding that I'm sharing with you today. You can go into the conversation and be as healthy as possible, like have healthy communication. You can go into a conversation and be very open and be very honest and vulnerable. And the other person's emotional maturity level is 100% going to depend on how they're going to respond. So I'm not saying this to necessarily, to put you into that war stance, but just understand that if the other person, if you're going in a healthy way to have a healthy conversation, and that is your intention, and the other person does not reciprocate that, that is 100% about them and nothing to do with you. So don't take anything that they say personally. Everything that other people, as soon as they, start playing that blame game, it's 100% them telling you about who they are, not about you. So don't take it personally. Get up and leave the conversation if you need to. Unfortunately, healthy communication does take both parties to be able to have that healthy communication. So if one person is unwilling, essentially, I guess what I'm saying is know your audience and know that some people just aren't going to be receptive of that, and they're not going to give you that same luxury, I guess, or that same maturity level, and that's okay. It's like I said, all you have control over is you. There's the only person that you can, change what you think or what you say or how you feel or all that kind of stuff. So as long as your intentions are pure, at the end of the day, that truly is all that matters. And when it comes to communication, these three things are definitely going to help you to set you up for success, to be able to be mature and open and honest, and hopefully help you to avoid conflict. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you back here next time.